So what's her name, Damon?
Her name's Delisha, but for short, I just call her Deesh.
How do you spell that? D-E-S-H? Deesh?
Yeah, that's
Okay, so can I call her that too?
No problem.
Okay. What kind of dog is she?
She's a Bichon Frise. She originated from Spain.
Okay. No poodle?
No poodle.
Okay. Does she do tricks?
Yeah, she does tricks, but I give her a treat after she does her tricks. If she doesn't get that treat, she won't do them.
That's a very important part of the sort of scientific procedure developed by B.F. Skinner. And I'm going to have you train her to do something. Come on, pick her up so she can see what she's going to do. When you've finished with her, she's going to take that cute little black nose and touch that red globe right there.
Right against that red
That's the
ball.
trick, okay?
Okay.
And the reason I wanted you to do that is because B.F. Skinner, who was the scientist who developed a technique in which there was positive reinforcement, because many times animal trainers would use negative things, you know, a whip or something to train animals, and he came up with the idea that positive reinforcement would be a better way to do it, and that's how all the animals in the circus are trained. You've seen them, haven't you?
Yeah, like they get the seals to honk their little horns and they go off with different kind of tunes. Bom, bom.
Yeah, right. And then the dogs do all kinds of fancy tricks.
Yeah.
Well, that's the technique they've used. So
see.
here's a Scientific American article explaining the whole thing. So take that.
Thank you.
And then an important part is going to be this clicker. You know, little toy crickets that people use?
I see.
Okay, that's going to be part of what you do.
Okay.
And then you have to give her a series of rewards. Now, you said her reward, what do you use?
A dog treat is called.
Okay,
by
fine.
Milk Bone.
She likes those?
Yes, she does.
Okay, great. So the important thing is to get her slightly hungry. Well, you'll read all the instructions here. So take this and see if you can get her to point her nose at it. And when you got her trained, why, bring her back, okay?
Okay, I will.
Okay.
Bye, Mr. Wizard.
Bye.
Come on, Deesh.
So are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
So if something horrible were to happen to one of your hands, you'd rather have it happen to your left hand, right?
Yes.
Okay, would you please put your left hand out here like that? Have I ever done anything to mortally wound you?
No.
No. Well, all I'm doing is putting some white glue on your hand. And now I'm adding some soap that has borax in it. That's the kind of soap that you use when your hands are real dirty and you want to get them clean. Okay. Now with your fingers of your right hand, your good hand, mix them all up.
Okay. Gee, this stuff is gooey.
Yes.
Ah, it's sticking to my fingers.
Now try to get them to finally roll it into a ball. That's it. What you're really making is a sort of semi-super ball. Okay, now try dropping it on the counter once and see. Ah, not bad. Here, you can wipe off your hands now. What happens when you take this white glue, it has relatively long molecules. Okay?
Oh.
And when you get the soap that has borax in it, it supplies a molecule that links some of those long molecules together, making even longer molecules. So you, in effect, are making a polymer. And it's quite elastic. In fact, if you'd like to do this scientifically, you should measure out how much you put of each one and then vary them, and eventually you'll get a real ball that bounces quite high. Here, try that. There's your ball. Pretty good. You know Mr. Potts next door?
Yeah.
Well, he came by and made this one. See how his is compared to yours. Oh, he needs more work. Here.
Okay. Whoa!
Go ahead, go get it. Because I really shouldn't say that about Mr. Potts's ball, because the longer you let it sit, the harder it gets, and overnight it wouldn't bounce at all.
Oh,
so if you
okay.
try it, be sure and bounce it while it's still fresh. And how do you make it?
By using white glue
Okay.
and hand soap with borax in it.
Very good. Mix them all together in various proportions, and you can make a semi-super ball. Fairly common objects, Brian, right?
Yes,
You know what they're called?
batteries.
Well, that's what most people call them, but they're only half right. And I'll see if I can explain why they're only half right. Here's the same sort of thing that you call a battery, and when you open it up, this is what's inside. There's a carbon rod and black stuff, and it's sort of dry, so it's called a dry cell, okay? You've heard them call that, right?
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Okay. Let's check the voltage of a dry cell. Do you know what it's going to be?
Probably going to be about 1.5 because that's what most batteries are.
Okay, most what?
Batteries?
Okay, then what did I call it?
A cell.
A cell, dry cell.
Okay.
Okay. 1.6.
Yeah, 1.6.
By the way, would you know what the word cell means?
Small enclosed area.
Yeah, like when you put a prisoner in a cell, right?
Yeah.
It's a little enclosed room. So that's where this got its name, and it's a dry cell. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what's the voltage of that?
So it's 9 volt
Okay,
cell.
try it. Check it once.
Okay.
Here, I'll hold it for you.
Yes, it's 9 volts.
You're right, 9.6 or something, a little more than that, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is correctly called a battery. Do you know what the definition of a battery? What is a battery?
I don't know.
Whenever there's a battery of something, it means there's a whole group of them. And if you ever take one of these apart, here's what you'll find inside. Look.
They look like small little batteries.
Yes, they're small little what?
Cells.
Cells, right. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's check the voltage. Here.
Okay. It's also about 1.6 volts.
Okay, now, so there are 6 of them times 1.5, and what do you got?
9 volts.
9 volts, right. So from now on, when you see one of these, what are you going to call it?
A battery.
And when you see one of these, what are you going to call it?
A cell.
Very good. Vanessa, here's a model of a doorknob, and I'm going to turn the little thing in the back so it's now locked.
Okay.
And it's up to you to open the lock with one of these keys.
Okay.
So try that one.
It doesn't fit.
Okay, it won't even go in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, try the next one. Okay,
It goes in, but it doesn't turn.
okay. Obviously, you have one more choice, right?
Yeah. This one goes in
Okay,
and turns.
and it
to
turns. Okay. Now, the reason I put them on this great cardboard, I wanted to sort of emphasize the outline so that you could compare them. What are the difference between the 3 of them?
Well, this one has a different slot or a pattern for these 2 keys.
And that's why you couldn't get it in, right? Because
Right.
the slot here was different than the slot there. Okay, there.
And these 2 are the same, but the bumps are different.
Mm-hmm.
And
So obviously, this one is the correct key, and
Yeah.
these bumps were wrong.
yeah,
Now, do you know what happens when you put a key in a lock and turn it like that?
no?
Well, let's go over to this homemade version, a big version. What you're trying to do in this case is to push this to close that switch to light the light bulb. Okay.
Okay.
What happens when you try to push here?
Well, it's locked. It won't go.
Yeah, but you see all these pegs?
Yeah?
Okay. The fact that the peg is below the line here means that it won't move.
Okay.
So now take a key and slowly put it in and watch what happens to the pegs.
Oh, the pegs move up and down.
Yes. Okay. Now, that one's above the line, that one's about that, but look at these 2.
Those 2 are below the line.
Yeah, and this one's too high, right?
Yeah.
So obviously it's not the right key.
Yeah.
Okay, you have one more key to try. Now watch, slowly, watch what happens.
The pegs move up and down again.
Ah, they're all lined up now.
Yeah.
Okay, push. There you go. You lit the light based on the fact that you had the right key. Okay, now you can take the key out. Okay. Now, Vanessa, when you realize that there are thousands of different combinations of slots and bumps on the key, you can see that when you have only the right key, can you open the lock? And when you do that, what happens?
Well, you need the correct slot and the correct bumps to put into the correct lock.
Yeah, very good. What is this ant doing? What's its job in the nest? Such a challenge confronts insect biologists like Dr. Jim McIver of Oregon State University. He spots a large nest of thatch ants. They're social insects working together to build huge structures like this. Dr. MacGyver wants to learn how the labor is divided. How can you find out what one of them does when there are so many that look alike? The answer is to make the one you want to watch stand out. To do so, Dr. MacGyver gently restrains an ant. He takes some non-toxic glue and puts a small amount of it on the ant's abdomen. Next, he attaches a small numbered disc. The tiny plastic discs don't seem to affect the ant's behavior as Dr. MacGyver observes its routine, and those of other ants he tags with different numbers. He's found that some individuals work harder than others, and that worker ants specialize in different tasks, such as repairing the nest or carrying out the dead. Gaining insight into the complex behavior within a nest of ants by tagging and therefore being able to follow just one of them. Eliana, here are 2 cans of soda. One of them is diet and the other is non-diet. And I painted them all so that you can't see any of the labels on it, so you have to determine which is which without being able to read it. How are you going to do that?
I don't know.
Well?
Oh, I think that's what you have the tank of water for. You'd put them in, and then if one floated, you would see which is which. And
Okay,
if one sank,
you think one will float and one will sink?
Yeah.
Okay, put them in, see if it...
that one floats.
That one floats.
And that one sinks.
That one sinks. Okay, you were absolutely correct. Now you have to tell me which is which.
Well, I think the sugar might float.
I think the sugar might float.
Yes.
Okay, so then take that one. Here's a towel, you can wipe it off. And I have put a piece of tape, if you notice over there, a little tab that sticks out.
Yeah.
So if you pull off the tab, you will reveal enough of the ingredients to find out whether it has sugar in it or not.
Okay.
Now you said this floated, therefore it would have sugar in it?
Yes.
Okay.
Contains carbonated water, caramel color, aspartame.
A sugar substitute.
Yeah.
So therefore this one, the one that floated, was the diet drink,
Diet
right?
drink.
So if that's true, this one should be the non-diet.
Right.
Should have sugar in it. Okay. You can do the same thing.
Dump the water off from the top.
Okay, put it over here. So,
Okay.
what does it say?
Contains carbonated water, sugar,
Aha,
fruit
sugar.
juice.
Now, the reason why you can do this sort of trick is because when they make the cans, they come on an assembly line, and each one is almost exactly the same. Then when they put them in the line and they start filling the liquid in it, each one has exactly the same amount of liquid in it. So the reason why one would be more dense is because of the ingredients in the liquid. You've done that experiment, I assume, where you float an egg in salt water?
Yeah.
Okay. You could do the same experiment in sugar water, showing that the sugar is more dense than regular water. Therefore, the one that sinks is the one that has the sugar in it. Right. Okay, so let's assume you're at a party sometime and you don't know which is which, but you see a bunch of cans floating in the water. Go ahead, put them in.
Okay.
You can immediately tell
Which one has sugar and which one doesn't.
which one has sugar and which one does not. So if you want a diet drink, what do you reach for?
The one that floats.
Very good. Tarek, I want you to pay close attention to what I'm going to do because you're going to do it too.
Okay.
And we're dealing with poisonous chemicals, so I want you to be very careful, okay?
Okay.
What you do is you pour some of this liquid into the glass. Right?
It's about a quarter.
Okay, and then you pour some of this liquid in the glass.
It's orange, holy.
Yeah, looks like orange juice.
Yeah.
Non-drinkable orange
Yeah.
juice, however, because it's a chemical. What it illustrates is, in chemistry, they call it a precipitate. Do you know what that is?
Yeah. It's coming down, like cold coming down, rain coming down, snow coming down.
In this case, it's the orange chemical that's coming down.
Yeah.
But it'll take a while. And in order for you to understand, maybe we should think about it this way. When you put this chemical into the solution, it doesn't stay bound together like that. The water is strong enough to tear them apart. So you take those apart.
Like on the water, and I'm tearing it apart. Huh?
Right. Okay. And when you dissolve this chemical in the water, it the water can take those apart too, so you take that apart.
Okay.
Now we mix them together, right? Okay, you mix those up. Okay.
And that is now that.
Well, no, it isn't.
It
It's
isn't?
mixed together, but it's all the chemicals, but not quite in the right shape. See that? Combine that with the two blue ones.
Like that. And then that.
Okay.
And this.
Okay, now these are attracted to each other strong enough so that the water can't pull them apart. And that's what the precipitate is.
Okay.
Now, it would take too long for that to come down to the bottom. So take this, and see over there is a funnel. Pour some of it in the filter paper in the middle of the funnel there, see it?
Okay.
Okay, that's about enough. Because all we want you to do is to see what's coming out the bottom.
It's clear. Holy.
Yeah.
What happens to the orange?
Well, the precipitate is left behind in the filter paper. And if you let it go long enough, it ends up like this. See?
So that means that it left the precipitation behind.
Right.
And the water came out.
Okay, so now you know what to do? Okay, how would you like to make some chemical orange juice? Here's a glass. You can go ahead, use up all the solutions. Go ahead.
Okay.
Pour it all in.
Oh.
Okay, now, whoops, that's a little...
Too big.
Too much. Try to fill it up to the top. Here we go.
It's orange again.
There you go. There you are, orange again. Very good. The average pig is huge and has a big appetite, but not this one. It's full grown. Pigs are good models for medical research because their hearts, arteries, skin, and teeth are very similar to those of humans. Dr. Linda Panapinto has developed mini pigs at Colorado State University at Fort Collins. She's also developed better methods of handling them. For instance, a padded sling to gently restrain them. It's important to treat pigs with kindness because they react to stress just as people do, and unwanted stress could affect the results of an experiment. The small pigs are easier to be kind to since they aren't as hard to handle as their big cousins. The intelligent, you could even say lovable, mini pigs.
Come on, Disha. Hi, Mr. Wizard. How are you?
Oh, hi, Damon. You have Dish with her.
Yeah, I have Dish with me.
And shall she do the trick?
Yes, she will.
Well, why don't you put her up here and explain exactly what you did?
Okay. Come here, Dish.
How are you today? Whoops.
Well, she almost fell off there.
Okay, so now you trained her eventually to come and point her nose at this ball. How'd you do it?
Well, first of all, I read that Scientific American article by B.F. Skinner.
Right.
And then it tells about positive reinforcement or giving a dog a treat or food, whatever the animal likes, after she does the trick that you'd like her to do. And so first of all, I'd put the treat on the ball, and I'd click it, and she, of course, would go to the ball and get the treat.
Right.
After a couple times, I'd take the treat off, I'd click it, she'd go to the ball, and then come to me for the treat.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, the idea being that instead of punishing the animal, you rewarded them.
Yep.
Okay. And that works not only for dogs, but for pigeons.
Yeah, they have it for pigeons.
In fact, haven't you ever been where they have a chicken that's doing all kinds of
Yeah,
weird stuff? Well, okay,
Yeah.
they use that technique called
course.
positive reinforcement. Are you ready to prove that it works?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we'll put the ball down there and let's see if she can really do it. Here, move it over here a little more, okay?
Okay.
Okay, and why don't you start her at the door?
Okay. Okay. You ready, Disha? Okay, what's this little treat? Okay, sit down. Sit down. Okay. See? She did it! Way to go, Disha. That's a good girl. On your treat, there it is.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
sort of a big treat.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
I
you
can
give
do
her
this.
that much all the time?
Yeah, usually I do.
Okay, well, why don't you see if she's still hungry enough to do it a second time?
Okay. You
Wait till
done
she
that,
finishes
Dish?
her first treat.
It was actually quite a neat article since they talked about all different kinds of animals that
Yeah,
would do it for
right.
positive reinforcement.
In fact, even children.
Yep, they have
Yeah.
children doing them too.
Okay, all right,
Okay,
here we go.
Come on, Dish. Okay, you want a treat? You still hungry? Okay. Come here. Turn around. Okay, good girl. Okay. See this? Okay. Touch your ball. Come on, Dees. Touch the ball.
Touch your nose to the ball. There she
Good
did it.
girls.
All right. Very good. Well, congratulations. You did a beautiful job. So did she.
Thank you.
At the University of Wyoming, Dr. David Duval uses traditional methods to capture prairie rattlesnakes. He and others have found some previously unknown aspects of their behavior. For example, to watch a snake in the wild, you'd think it travels haphazardly. Yet as it leaves its den for hunting, it moves cross-country in a very precise line that corresponds to a specific compass heading. Near the end of the summer, it does a U-turn that reverses its course as it makes its way along the opposite compass heading back to its den. Probably using the sun, the rattlesnake is a good navigator.
Oh, how come it's doing that?
Going around and round and round. It looks mysterious, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, as a matter of fact, here, I'll lift the beaker up. Put your hand under there. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. There's a magnet spinning around underneath your hand, and the magnetism is going right through your hand and spinning around the little magnet up on top. So it's a magnetic stir, which scientists use to stir up solutions.
Yeah.
So you don't have to stand there and stir them up. And we're going to use it to do a sort of science stunt that's very famous.
Okay.
You probably haven't heard about it, but it's called a clock reaction, in which when iodine and starch get together, it turns a deep blue black. And that's what's going to happen here, but in a very special way. So first of all, pour some of that. Pour that glass right into there.
Okay.
Okay, now pour this.
Okay.
Now see that knob down there? Turn it up so it's going around a little faster until you see a little sort of funnel. Okay, good. Now we have to add some of this. And when you do, it'll turn blue-black, and that means that free iodine is present. So whenever you see the blue-black color, you know iodine and starch are together. Okay, pour it in once and watch what happens.
Okay. You could hardly see the iodine. Can't see it at all, really.
Okay, now watch. There's the iodine,
yeah.
okay? But now watch, because while there's iodine and starch present at the moment, if you can take some of the iodine away, look what happens.
Oh, it changes the same color again.
Yeah.
And then it changes
and now
back.
it turns back again.
Yeah.
What is happening is a fairly complicated chemical reaction in which iodine has 3 different forms. In this form, it's free, ready, and can combine with the starch. Now it reverses and goes into another form. That's when it's a light color. And then it's another form when it goes to that sort of orange-yellow color. And finally, free iodine again.
Yeah.
So it'll go back and forth like this. And it's kind of fun.
How come it's a little, you can see these things in it? You can see the little bubbles.
Well, bubbles, well, that's because we're actually adding some air every once in a while.
Is
see it?
there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
And we have a sort of tornado going in the middle. Right? Yeah. It'll keep doing this back and forth for, 15 minutes or so, and then finally the free iodine will be the only iodine that's left, and then it will stay permanently blue-black. So now you've seen sort of the oscillating clock reaction.